Come along, children. Now we're going to have a little music.
Do not be alarmed. You were not, in fact, booting up ATV Offroad Fury 4 on your computer, nor did it boot itself up. Welcome back, one and all. This is a little bit of a weird experimental thing for me as far as my uploads are concerned, because this is ostensibly an episode of Artificial Lack of Intelligence, but I just recorded and edited what I think will be the next episode of that, but due to the content of that video, I'm not so sure if things are going to go to plan with that upload. So anyway, I have all the tabs pulled up in Google Chrome for this particular episode, so I figured it would be a good idea to go over it right now. Okay, so I guess it would probably behoove me to explain a little bit of the motivation for the topic of this video. The first video game that I can remember playing was ATV Offroad Fury 2 for the PlayStation 2. One of the numerous batches of my cousins brought their PlayStation 2 to a family campout, and I guess they must have brought like an extension cord or something, and I guess they must have recently purchased ATV Offroad Fury 2, so this was the first video game that I ever played that I can remember. Also, if you think that's a little bit weird, I think the motivation behind ATV Offroad Fury 2 being brought to this family get-together in particular had some connection to the fact that the uncle that owned the land where we had the family gathering had a red ATV, and I believe one or two of the clans of my cousins outside of that uncle also had ATVs, or at least they used to. So ATV Offroad Fury 2 was the first PlayStation 2 game that I ever played, is the short version. And honestly, though the game is relatively simplistic and kind of outside of my interest wheelhouse, you know, it's not Godzilla or Sonic or anime or what have you, but I have played through ATV Offroad Fury 2 from start to finish at least 2 or 3 different times. The first time, obviously, I didn't know how to play the game that well, but eventually I came back and played it on like pro mode, which is basically expert mode. You know, I beat the game at the hardest difficulty that it came packaged with. And then a couple years later, ATV Offroad Fury 2 was developed by a company called Rainbow Studios, whereas ATV Offroad Fury 4 was developed by a studio called Climax, I believe. But ATV Offroad Fury 4 plays mostly the same, obviously because it shares the franchise name, but the gameplay is a little bit different. Now, obviously, I've just explained that I have played 2 and 4, so I'm sure the people watching this, however few of them there are, where the heck is ATV Offroad Fury 1 and ATV Offroad Fury 3? The answer to that is relatively simple. You see, the franchise is called ATV Offroad Fury. Let's just sit on that for a second. I must admit, ATV Offroad Fury definitely sounds like a pretty generic title for a franchise. And I also do not know what the motocross ATV MX fan base is like in terms of sheer size. But I have played, at the very least, ATV Offroad Fury 1, where I grew up. The neighbor we had across the street, his son brought ATV Offroad Fury 1 over to the house at some point because he owned it. I don't really remember anything particularly mind-blowing or fantastic about the first game, but obviously it did lay the groundwork for ATV Offroad Fury 2, as well as several other games. I know there was a game called MX Unleashed, and one of the many clans of my cousins that I have mentioned in previous videos had that one. I don't know why I didn't have it for whatever reason, but I've played it. I also know there was MX versus ATV Unleashed, which I believe they also had a copy of. Much like I said in the Marvel vs. Capcom 4 hypothetical roster video, one of those cousins had a PlayStation 2 and several PlayStation 2 games on it that I do not personally own, nor do I have intimate gameplay experience with. There was like a snowboarding game that they had. I believe there was a Tony Hawk game, same deal. Obviously, for what reason I do not know, but I truly enjoy the ATV Offroad Fury series. As a young adult, so like 3 or 4 years ago at the time of recording this video on a date that I will not share, I bought MX vs ATV Supercross Encore for the PlayStation 4, and we are just going to reenact what my experience was like playing the game for the first time on Christmas. We start with the game here, and we go to this position. I don't know what it is, aside from just simply the passage of time, but whatever Rainbow Studios did over the course of developing multiple MX vs ATV games, but the gameplay really didn't resonate with me very strongly when I popped that one into the PS4. Anyway, that's actually not what this video is about. To be completely honest, I do not have an in-depth understanding of the physics system and gameplay of ATV Offroad Fury to the point at which I can talk extensively about such a topic. But one thing that I will unequivocally say is that the soundtracks for these games, these two in particular, helped shape and form my own personal musical tastes. Obviously, this is not a sweeping statement because if you have watched my physical CD ranking shedding tears video, you know that my tastes go a little bit farther than these two games, but the soundtracks for both of these games are rather diverse. I will try to link to a website that has a sort of neat way of going through all of the music that was present in both ATV Offroad Fury 2 and ATV Offroad Fury 4, but as should be pretty clear by now, when I love something, I don't just rest on my laurels. In recent years, with the influx and growth of the artificial intelligence realm, I thought, well, if this artificial intelligence stuff is so smart and capable of creative stuff to the extent that people proclaim it to be, why don't I use it to form a hypothetical soundtrack for ATV Offroad Fury 5? And I already know what you're saying, or typing, or thinking, because I am a student of Professor Charles Xavier. In all seriousness, I know what you're thinking, which is, well, the MX Unleashed MX vs ATV series basically just replaced the Rainbow Studios version of ATV Offroad Fury, so just look up the soundtracks for one of those games. Yes, that would be logical and make sense, but that wouldn't give me content to make a YouTube video about, so I asked ChatGPT the following question. Come up with a list of songs for a hypothetical ATV Offroad Fury 5 if they had ever made it. Now, in your own mind, we can go with either the Rainbow Studios version of ATV Offroad Fury, or we can go with the Climax Studios version of ATV Offroad Fury. A spiritual sequel to 2 or 4, depending on your personal tastes. ATV Offroad Fury 5 doesn't exist, so, you know, whatever. I guess it has taken longer for us to get ATV Offroad Fury 5 than it was to get Grand Theft Auto 5 after Grand Theft Auto 4, so I guess Climax has a lot to answer for. I don't know why the franchise converted to MX vs ATV like it did, but whatever. Soundtrack. Okay, so there is a consistent theming around which this first batch of songs can be discussed, and that is, it's old. There are a lot of songs from like the 80s and 90s from very prolific bands and artists that I doubt Sony Music or whatever would have access to. I mean, we got what? Crazy Train, Highway to Hell, Welcome to the Jungle.
Welcome to the jungle. We take it day by day. If you want to jump, gonna bleed mud. The price you pay.
Why are there 2 Metallica songs back to back? I mean, Enter Sandman is a good song, don't get me wrong, but I believe ATV Offroad Fury 4 came out like circa 2008, so I'm imagining that a hypothetical ATV Offroad Fury 5 would have come out around like 2010, 2011. So having all of these really old songs doesn't really make a whole lot of sense as far as I'm concerned. Guitar Hero 3, it made sense because that game was about really well-received music from across time. ATV Offroad Fury, it more seems like all of the music choices were just meant to promote groups and singular artists that Sony wanted to give a spotlight. And I know this because some of the artists in ATV Offroad Fury 2, like the only song you can find by them on YouTube is the song that was in ATV Offroad Fury 2. And I haven't really checked, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case for ATV Offroad Fury 4 as well. So the next thing I did, obviously, I told ChatGPT, hey, you know, listen, these songs don't really fall into the right temporal era, and I really don't think we should double up with multiple songs per artist. So here's the part of the video that will probably be more interesting. Here is the second batch of songs given by ChatGPT for a hypothetical ATV Offroad Fury 5. We have fixed the time displacement problem, but if I'm not mistaken, I noticed another problem kind of welling up here. One Republic, Jay-Z, Owl City, Black Eyed Peas.
In the coupe, leaning back my seat, bumping R. Kelly's favorite group, the Black Guy Peas.
Don't really know how diverse the genres are in this list. It strikes me as very pop and hip-hop dominated. ATV Offroad Fury 2 and 4 had songs that could be argued as part of those genres. What's Golden and Paragraph President, both of which are from ATV Offroad Fury 2, are probably some of the biggest proponents of diversification of my musical stylings that I can think of. And it is entirely due to the ATV Offroad Fury games that I can say that. And I know this is going to sound really weird, but Stick 'Em Up by Kwarashi in ATV Offroad Fury 2 mentions Godzilla.
Hop on the mic like a fascist Mussolini. Coming to no remorse from the dark, you will see me rise up from the sea like a Godzilla.
And Paragraph President by Black Alicious in ATV Offroad Fury 2 mentions Gamera.
Leah City burning like Gamera. Stamina, blaze up your space, plus I got it on camera.
So in a way, that's kind of the closest I have ever got to an official Godzilla Gamera crossover piece of media to date. I know that's really weird and didn't have anything to do with the genres of this ChatGPT song list, but I just wanted to bring it up. Oh, there's Rihanna and Katy Perry and Kesha. I just noticed Uprising by Muse. It's a decent song. I have it on my computer right here, actually. But overall, I feel like this auto-generated list was not up to the standard I was hoping to get. So obviously, I shot a message back to ChatGPT, and I was like, hey, listen, buddy, pop music is fine, but there seems to be a little bit too much of it for a hypothetical ATV Offroad Fury 5 soundtrack. Tells me I see your point, so it shot back with another list. I'll be honest, I didn't really check this list out for the most part, because I saw Paint It Black by the Rolling Stones, and I was like, oh, here we go again. It's populating the list with older songs. In truth, I actually don't know exactly when Paint It Black came out, but I saw that, and it was enough to tell me, just ask it again. If you want, you can pause the video and look over these soundtracks, and that will be sort of problematic in the rest of the video. Oh yeah, Sharp Dressed Man by ZZ Top, Rock You Like a Hurricane by the Scorpions. That last one is a good one. It was in the Simpsons game on the Nintendo DS, which is the only reason I know how good it is. But it was pretty clear to me we needed to clarify a little bit more. Clearly, ChatGPT wasn't getting it through its thick skull what I wanted. So yeah, I reiterated, I only want songs released in 2010 or shortly into 2011. I was getting a little bit frustrated with ChatGPT at that point. But in the process of generating a completely new track list, it forgot one of the cardinal rules that I had previously established, which was a single song per artist, and there's 2 Shinedown songs in this list, both of which are good. I love Boom Lay Boom Lay Boom and Enemies by Shinedown, but those are 2 songs by the same artist. ChatGPT could not even listen to me. I like Country Song by Seether, and I like I Am Machine by 3 Days Grace. I also noticed some of the other artists artists like Avenged Sevenfold, Papa Roach. I believe Lamb of God had a song in ATV Offroad Fury 4. At this point, I was like, okay, it clearly likes big name artists. If I understand correctly how text-based AI chat works, is that much like with AI generated images, it kind of just scours the internet and tries to find patterns and then uses those patterns to generate its own commentary. So the fact that it was relatively frequently picking popular artists for these soundtracks didn't surprise me, so I wanted to clarify to ChatGPT, hey, listen, let's keep it on the down low. Let's go with relatively unknown artists. Let's not really go for the chart toppers, especially since, like I said, I don't know how much licensing money Sony had at its disposal. I didn't want to go so far as to try to tell ChatGPT to only pick artists that were associated with the Sony music label denomination, because as we can see, it was already having a hard enough time as it was. Now, this batch, there were actually several songs that were kind of decent. Again, I don't know how they fall with the licensing red tape nightmare, but I actually made a YouTube playlist with several of these songs in it. Light It Up by Rev Theory was the first one I listened to that I was like, okay, I can see this. Maybe this could work. But that brings two thoughts to mind. The first thought is, I believe Light It Up by Rev Theory was like a WWE introduction song, I think. Someone in the comments let me know if it was or was not. And I started to notice that ChatGPT was making a lot of picks in that same vein, but I skipped over Take Control by Roll the Tanks because I believe this was the point at which ChatGPT started.
Red, I do believe you're talking out of your ass.
It sure as hell fooled me, because I am pretty sure I looked up a lot of these songs, and like I said, there were a decent number of them, to the point where I made a YouTube playlist of all of the songs that I could find. But like I said, I think ChatGPT uses text-based prediction models to provide its answers, and I think quite a few of these songs are either not real songs by real artists, or they're not real songs by not real artists. But I guess alternative metal groups and artists have a pretty pathetically predictable naming schema, and I remember being kind of bothered by this. I was like, ChatGPT, like, it's a robot. It should just be telling me stuff based on what I have told it. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I really don't think any of the things I asked it to use as criterion for exclusion or inclusion were particularly gigabrain really difficult things. So I kind of fired back. I said only 8 of the given 20 songs are actual songs. At least 2 of those 8 songs are recent releases, meaning that they did not come out in 2010 or 2011. So I did what I thought would be a logical and smart thing. I said, hey, you know, provide me a YouTube link to a video with the song in it. That way I know this is an actual list. And, you know, I'm not a total jerk, so I wanted to tell ChatGPT, like, hey, you know, you're getting pretty good at holding to the genre and the styling. Please just, you know, fix the rest of it. So it did that, or at least it tried. Yeah, I actually fact-checked ChatGPT in real time. I was like, none of these videos actually exist. Like I said, I think the predictive text-based model for responses meant that ChatGPT was basically saying, YouTube videos seem to have URLs that end in a bunch of random gibberish letters, characters, and numbers. So I'll just belch out random letters, characters, and numbers, and this guy's not gonna know the difference. But obviously, I wasn't having any of it. So once more, ChatGPT redoubles its efforts, apologizing for the error, claiming to correct the list with accurate links to actual songs. Can you guess whether or not this worked successfully? No, it did not. Think the YouTube URL problem may have have still been an issue, but I was more offended by the fact that pretty much all of the songs were completely out of lockstep with the musical stylings of ATV Offroad Fury 2 and 4. So ChatGPT tries to act like it is fixing the track list by giving me an updated list of 20 different songs. This one must have been the one that prompted my anger and caused me to just kind of throw my hands up and walk away, because I'm pretty sure most of the same problems that I had with all the other batches were present in this one. The formatting was slightly different, but that was literally it. Yeah, so I think this is the part where I kind of snapped, and I basically just told ChatGPT straight up, yeah, this is a pretty great list. Those all sound like they would fit, but none of them are actual songs. And of course, ChatGPT tapped into its feminine energy and tried to gaslight me again by saying, I will provide a revised list with real artists and real songs. And I can see 30 Seconds to Mars right there, so at least that's a real artist, but I don't think that's a real song by them. I do not think I recall any of these being actual artists. I think some of the content is real, but most of it was bunk. Oh yeah, so it acted like the links it was providing were legitimate, and I think most of them were just like error video not found links. Yeah, that was another problem, was that some of the links would work, but they would be to songs that were totally not the song that ChatGPT was claiming them to be. And then ChatGPT tries to act like it's going to, quote, fix this once and for all, and I can tell you, knowing the end of this list, that it did not do that. I see You're Going Down by Sick Puppies, and for all I know, some of these might be actual songs, but I know The Light by Disturbed was an actual song. One of these songs links to like a random country song by Garth Brooks, which might be a fine song, but it doesn't have any place being in ATV Offroad Fury. Again, it's hard to tell without the YouTube links that these songs are not real. You know, it just uses predictive text modeling to come up with stuff that might sound right, but clearly is not legitimate. Now, in fairness, I probably should have used the thumbs down reaction on ChatGPT to tell the system, hey, your answers aren't really doing a whole lot, but I didn't think about that until literally just now. Before I get into the closing thoughts segment, I generated this art with the Facebook Meta AI Imaginer. I think the server I had was like Llama or something, but I sincerely love the ATV Offroad Fury games. So much so, I actually bought ATV Offroad Fury 1 as well as ATV Offroad Fury 3 sometime like 2013, 2014, because those were the only ones that I had never owned or played, but that was kind of a weird time in my life and I just never got around to actually playing them. I don't know if they're any good, considering 2 and 4 were built from the bones of 1 and 3. They probably are good games, I just have no hands-on experience with them. They also didn't come with the plastic cases. They were just like the discs by themselves, which I don't know, maybe I'm weird, but that kind of demotivates me from playing a used game. But hopefully this video has shown pretty clearly artificial intelligence is nowhere near the level that it would need to be to end the world, because if it can't even come up with a soundtrack list for a hypothetical ATV Offroad Fury 5, I don't think it's going to be turning into Skynet anytime soon.
They lived only to face a new nightmare, the war against the machines.
So I hope all of you enjoyed. For those of you that played these games growing up, hopefully my suffering and toil with ChatGPT maybe brought a smile to your face. I know it reminds me of better times that do not include ATV Offroad Fury 2's Waypoint Editor. And while I'm at it, the custom track builder in ATV Offroad Fury 4 wasn't that great. Don't at me. But yeah, drop a comment if you have anything to say regarding either the official ATV Offroad Fury series commentaries or the complete bunk that ChatGPT tried to throw my way. I tried to point out the songs that I did recognize, but it is possible I glanced over them. It takes a lot of energy to record these long rants on topics like these, but if you want to see more of those rants, hit the subscribe button. Make Henry Brain happy. Number go up. Number up good. And anyways, I will talk to you guys in the next video. Catch you on the flip side.